We all get the exact same 24 hours in a day, right? Yet somehow, so many of us feel like we're just constantly running out of time. We're rushing, we're stressing, and by Friday, we're looking back wondering, where on earth did the week go? Well, in this explainer, we're unpacking a literal masterclass in time management that uses a deeply emotional narrative to expose exactly why that happens. We are going to explore a really fascinating story that honestly has the power to completely shift how you view your daily schedule and basically fundamentally change your entire relationship with the clock. So, I want to start off with a pretty big question. Are you unknowingly throwing away your life's most precious diamonds? Now, I know that sounds incredibly dramatic, but by the end of this explainer, you're going to see exactly how time functions as this hidden treasure. A treasure that, honestly, we might be mindlessly squandering day after day without even realizing it. We're going to break down the psychology behind how we spend our hours, look at the sneaky traps we fall into, and, most importantly, we're going to look at the exact frameworks you need to stop throwing those precious hours away. Okay, so the source material grounds this entire philosophy in a really stark contrast between two college friends, Arav and Ravi. Picture this. Arav is rushing down the college hallway, super eager to hit up this highly anticipated seminar on the value of time. On his way, he spots his buddy Ravi, who is just standing there staring at his phone, completely lost in mindless scrolling. Arav invites him along, saying this seminar could be a total game changer. And Ravi's response? He just laughs. He mocks Arav, calls the seminar a massive waste of time, and then drops that classic, universal excuse we've all heard, man, I have no time for this useless stuff. So Arav just leaves him to his doom scrolling and heads into the hall. This dynamic right here, actively seeking growth versus claiming you have no time while literally wasting it, is the foundation of everything we're about to uncover. Inside the seminar, the speaker, a guy named Dr. Book, takes the stage. But instead of delivering some dry academic lecture, he tells this incredibly gripping fable. He says, imagine an old, really poor fisherman. It's 5 a.m., pitch black outside, and he's just walking along the riverbank. In the dark, he stumbles across this heavy sack filled with what he just assumes are ordinary stones. So, to pass the time while he waits for the sun to come up, he starts throwing these stones, one by one, at this bowl-shaped rock out in the middle of the river. And he just loves the satisfying splash sound they make. As he's tossing them, his mind wanders to all his life's regrets. Failing to study when he was younger, or blowing off a really stable city job his uncle offered him back when he still had the energy to actually work. When he thinks about his bad luck, he hurls the stones angrily, and when the sadness hits him, he just tosses them softly. Then the clock hits 6 a.m. The sun finally starts to rise over the water, and the old man is down to his very last stone. He winds up and throws it with all his might, right as the first brilliant rays of sunlight catch the stone midair. And in that sudden flash of light, it hits him, the terrifying truth. What he thought were just ordinary, useless stones were actually black diamonds. He had literally just thrown a life-changing fortune straight into the river, one splash at a time. This realization just completely shatters the guy. In a state of total panic and overwhelming regret, he dives right into the fast-flowing river, trying to grab that final diamond. But tragically, his frail old body is just no match for the current, and he drowns, chasing the very wealth he had just casually tossed away. Now, the absolute brilliance of this fable is that it's not just some sad cautionary tale to make you feel bad. It actually reveals 3 highly structured, powerful psychological frameworks that dictate exactly how we manage our lives. Inside the hall, Dr. Book leverages the audience's emotional reaction to the fisherman's massive mistake to introduce these 3 core time lessons. So let's walk through each of these concepts. They're surprisingly simple, but they essentially determine whether we succeed or fail at managing our absolute most valuable resource. Lesson number 1 is what he calls the time paradox. Have you ever noticed that if you ask someone to, say, hit the gym, read a challenging book, or learn a new skill, their immediate knee-jerk reflex is to say, oh, I have no time. But if you ask that exact same person to binge watch an entire new streaming series, or sit around gossiping, or just hang out all weekend doing nothing, suddenly their schedule is wide open, right? That is the time paradox in action. The wealthy and the wise protect their time like those black diamonds because they actually understand its true value. The average person, though, they treat time like it's just a sack of worthless stones. Because look, we all get the exact same 24 hours. The problem isn't the clock. It's entirely about our priorities. And that connects directly to the second lesson, the present pleasure trap. Think about it. Why did the fisherman throw the diamonds in the first place? Because he was absolutely hooked on the short-term dopamine hit of that splash sound. It felt good in the moment. It was a quick thrill that took zero effort. And honestly, this is exactly what we do today when we impulsively grab our phones to scroll through social media or watch an endless feed of bite-sized videos. It's this incredibly easy, short-term dopamine release that gives us immediate comfort, but it completely sabotages our long-term potential. Every single time we choose a temporary distraction over doing meaningful work, we are literally throwing our diamonds into the river just to hear the splash. Which brings us beautifully to the third lesson, the absolutely critical shift from present pleasure to future thinking. The source breaks this down perfectly by comparing two entirely different mindsets. True success? It requires escaping the gravitational pull of instant gratification. Like a student who tops their class doesn't just cram the night before. They put in the work daily, delaying that gratification for a massive future result. Someone in incredible physical shape trades the immediate comfort of the couch for sweating at the gym day in and day out. The most successful entrepreneurs aren't out there chasing instant daily payouts. They are steadily building businesses over 5 to 10 years. Achieving any real goal requires shifting your entire operating system toward delayed gratification. So, how do we actually implement this? Well, Dr. Book closes out his seminar with some pretty ruthless but necessary advice. He asks, who are you surrounding yourself with? He tells the audience they have to fiercely curate their environment. You literally have to distance yourself from people who do not respect the clock. You know, the ones who always try to drag you back into that present pleasure trap with gossip and endless distractions. Instead, you need to bond with the people who actively value their diamonds. Surrounding yourself with a community of people dedicated to self-improvement is basically the strongest defense mechanism you can have against wasting your own time. Okay, so let's fast forward 5 years to a college reunion, and we can see the real-world compound effects of these two different mindsets. Arav, the guy who absorbed the diamond lessons, he rolled up to the reunion in a Mercedes. He's become incredibly successful, he's running 2 thriving businesses, he's in peak physical shape, and he is super excited to invite his old friends to his upcoming destination wedding. And Ravi? Well, Ravi is trapped exactly where we left him in that hallway. He's stuck in a super stressful, completely unfulfilling job, and he's still complaining endlessly about his financial struggles. And the craziest part? When Arav invites him to the wedding, Ravi's response is the exact same as it was 5 years ago. Man, I have no time. Now, Arav, still trying to be a solid friend, sees Ravi struggling and offers to send him some of the life-changing books that helped him figure out his time management and build his wealth. But Ravi instantly shoots the idea down. He says, I have no time to read books, I'm way too busy with my job and my chores. The source material points this out as the no time excuse pattern. It's really important to get this. It is not a factual reflection of Ravi's actual schedule. It is a fixed psychological mindset. It's a defense mechanism that literally protects him from having to put in the hard effort required to get financially free. It's like he's so incredibly busy chopping wood with a dull axe that he stubbornly claims he has no time to stop and sharpen it. It's wild. So how does the source material suggest overcoming this kind of paralysis? Because let's face it, for people like Ravi who feel genuinely overwhelmed, sitting down with a 300-page book just isn't going to happen. The source actually introduces a highly accessible entry point, a $99 subscription to a platform called the Summary Board. And the whole idea here is brilliant in its simplicity. You create a solution that costs roughly the same as a cup of coffee, specifically designed to bypass that no-time excuse entirely and gently ease someone into a future-oriented mindset. The methodology behind a platform like this is to just completely eliminate the friction associated with traditional reading. The source notes that it offers over 70 comprehensive book summaries using chapter-wise animations and audiobooks. This format is a total game changer because it allows you to absorb really dense, high-level knowledge while you're commuting or traveling or literally just folding laundry. It gives you direct access to the major time management frameworks from heavy hitters like Eat That Frog, The Compound Effect, and The Dip. By changing the format of the information, the source makes the argument that absolutely anyone can start valuing their time like diamonds, no matter how packed their schedule seems to be. But, and this is a big but, the source also totally acknowledges that knowledge without execution is kind of useless, right?
So to get people to actually translate this new knowledge into action, they use an urgency tactic. The source outlines a 21-day challenge, which is usually priced at $999 and offers it completely free to the first 500 attendees or subscribers. The psychology here is super clever. It provides an immediate, tangible incentive to stop procrastinating. It essentially forces the user to get out of the planning phase and actually start turning these audiobooks and summaries into real, life-altering daily habits.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one seriously big question to ask yourself today. Are you investing your diamonds, or are you just listening to the splash? Every single hour of your day is a diamond in that fisherman's sack. Are you actually using them to build a future you're going to be incredibly proud of? Or are you just tossing them away into the rushing river of social media and temporary distractions for a quick thrill? The choice of how to spend that wealth is absolutely yours. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this perspective helps you fiercely protect your time moving forward. Catch you next time.